There is a Thursday night football game on week 14. I guess we'll talk
Debatable.
about it. It's not much of an NFL football game, but we still think we found winners, as unbelievable as that may sound. That's what the show is all about. We're going to find winners. We're going to make money. Let's preview week 14. This is the Player Profiler Pick Em Power Hour starting now. Welcome back to the Player Profiler Pick Em Power Hour. We're your hosts, Ahaan Rungta and Trevor Tipton. As usual, we are coming off of week 13 that kind of set us up for week 14, because week 13 we got three good primetime games. We got some winners out of you, Trevor. Shout out the man, the myth, the legend of the show. Go to the program, Rashad White. Clap it up for him. Trevor, let's talk about week 13 first of all. Shout out to you for getting back in the winning column. You've been giving out so much green on the underdog pick generator, but you finally back with the winning two-piece.
Man, it was starting to get frustrating. I'm pretty sure we have to buy a Rashad White jersey at this point. Like he's delivered for us. Got that last carry at the end of the game, which we needed, got us over. It was I'll take it because I've done so well on the generator, and we switched roles. You and I started so good, and then we swapped it out. Right? It was never a doubt.
Yep.
It might have been the second to actual last play of the game, but never a doubt. Right?
Right. And for those who aren't listening on podcast, so we are live every Wednesday and Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But on podcast, we only upload the main shows on Wednesday. We're screen sharing right now the winning entry. Michael Pittman, shout out to him. The alpha stays the alpha in that very good Colts-Titans game. No sweat on the higher than 6.5 receptions, but Rashad White with the 30-yard dash, so to speak, at the end of the game to get us green. So shout out to them for giving us a winner. The week 13 pick'em generator overall was kind of mediocre. I believe we went 7-5, something like that. But over the last few weeks, we've been awesome on the underdog pick generator, and we're around 60% on the season. And if you've been like our Discord members, picking out some winners, pick 3, pick 4, pick 5, and getting us and get yourself green entry through the pick generator, it's not too late to join. It's part of the all-in package. And you can get it under the DFS Dominator. And you could play on Underdog using promo code Underworld upon entry to tail these winners. But I just want to talk a little bit more about Week 13 football, since that's what I'm more interested in than this Thursday night football game. Christian Watson. I want to remind the people who are listening to this. Yeah, you tweeted at me that Christian Watson was Marquez Valdes-Scantling. You tweeted at me that he's a bust. You tweeted at me that he's not good even when he plays. Shut up. Get some help. Christian Watson, when healthy on a per snap basis, is elite, an elite talent, and the breakout finder never lied. The stats from his rookie year never lied. The man is great, but it's safe to say he's injury prone, right? Keeps getting bothered by that same hamstring. It's safe to say that, but you got to accept that when he does play, he's explosive and he's an absolute alpha, and he proved that again. And he just put a bow on one of my favorite weeks of NFL football in recent times, because DK Metcalf, Christian Watson, combined for 5 touchdowns, 2 guys we have in the season-long entry, giving us a little bit of life. And, of course, Zeke, also part of the season-long entry. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but technically also has some life. And we'll talk about Week 14 soon. But just want to put this out there that Christian Watson is here as long as he's healthy. And I also want to tie this into, we've talked about C.J. Stroud a lot on this show, and how you tie a great quarterback to some good players and good things will happen. They tied the Texans tied C.J. Stroud to Tank Dell and Nico Collins, and it's working out beautifully. Poor Tank Dell. He's going to come back stronger than ever. He's going to be great for many years to come. But I also want to tie this to the Packers because Jordan Love is not a great quarterback, and he's played like a great one over the last couple of weeks. The results have been there. But he's not great, and he's not anywhere near C.J. Stroud. That's not what my point is. But before the season, I pushed a lot of Jordan Love for fantasy football agendas. Here he is. He's top 10 in fantasy scoring. And I think fantasy-wise and real-life-wise, it's just proof that regardless of who you have at quarterback, as long as he's a serviceable NFL quarterback, if you can tie him to great talent, which is what the Packers have done, good things can happen. And you can see ceiling. And that's what the Packers have done with Jordan Love, who has his flaws, and even in this 2-game winning streak, has not looked great, has actually made a bunch of mistakes, but has gotten away with it because he has the playmakers. This is also without Luke Musgrave and without Aaron Jones, who are both good players. He's been doing it on the backs of Christian Watson, Dontavion Wicks, and Jaden Reed. And I won't mention the other wide receiver, but those three guys have been outstanding for the Packers. So shout out to the Packers for connecting their quarterback of the future with some great weapons.
I want to remind everybody, because it pisses me off every day, that Christian Watson is so good that he got my 49ers to trade up for Trey Lance. Never forget that. That's how good Christian Watson was in college alone. He got the Niners, who, if you look at our draft record, short of that Trey Lance, Lynch and Shandy have done a pretty solid job. Nobody's perfect, but reminder, Christian Watson is so good, they got Trey Lance drafted at the top of the NFL. Just don't forget that.
What a little nugget there. I forgot to mention that, and it's a good reminder that when you're watching a quarterback film in college, that you need to have context, and it's also a good reminder of why you should have the Breakout Finder, because it corrects for all of this stuff, right? And the Breakout Finder told us that Christian Watson was the man. So shout out to you for that nugget.
Yeah. So we will not longly talk about my 49ers, but they announced their presence with authority against the Eagles. It is we expose what we do, they can expose. They have had problems over the middle. Jalen Hurts has made up for it. And then we showed when we're healthy and fully rolling what we can do. Now I'm interested because watching that game, Shanny has other packages he didn't unleash. So I think we see next time they play, because I would be shocked if they don't play in the NFC playoffs. Anything can happen, but I would be shocked. I think you're going to see some Trent pulling and CMC running down their throat. And if you go watch the film of that game, go watch what Trent did to Mr. Carter. Now, if anybody knows me, they know I'm a Carter fan. I think the kid's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I love him. I can't believe, because of what happened, the Eagles got him. Like Howie just is amazing as a GM. And I have no problem saying that, but go watch the film. Trent welcomed that kid to the league. And there was many times you can see he just didn't have the skill set yet to go against arguably the best all-around player in the NFL. Offense, defense, quarterback, Trent's that guy. So that was fun. Let's talk a little fantasy for a second. Tank and Kirk are brutal for me. That is major blows for me. I had some literal juggernauts and an FFPC and some NFC, and I'm going to be struggling. Those were two of my guys. So, but we'll grind away. We'll figure out a way to make it work. And then let's talk about so you want to talk about back. I want to talk about what I'm excited for this week, because it is not this Thursday night game. There is no part of me that is like, man, I can't wait to watch this Thursday night game this week. Like, I'm so excited. This is going to be amazing. Like, this is going to be like the game. No one's going to say that. So hard pass. I am excited for Buffalo, Kansas City. I think Buffalo is going to take them. So that's an interesting one to me. You guys, if you want to talk about this game, we'll talk about the Vegas lines a little. Pittsburgh's minus 260 favorites. The over under. So I put a tweet out. If you guys want to go look at the data, this is the first time, I believe it was since 2006, there has been an over under in the NFL at 30 points. Like, that is lunacy. And I think there's a chance it closes at 29.5, which is like bananas, guys. It's only happened like 6 or 8 other times. I'd have to go look it up again. So it's there. I think sneaky games to look at. We'll talk a little bit more about Friday. I think the Rams-Ravens is going to sneakily be a good game, right? Kyrie's back. They're healthy. The Rams are in the playoff hunt, so they're actually playing for something now in the NFC. Jacksonville, obviously, right? Trevor Lawrence, Kirk, like brutal for them. And then I want to ask your opinion. What do you think about Zach Wilson saying, telling the Jets, well, we want to start you again, and him saying no?
I think it's safe to say that Zach Wilson might not have that dog in him on the field, to be clear. Um, but yeah, the Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. I mean, since we're mentioning both of them on the same show, just two guys that probably my two biggest misses at quarterback, like since avidly being a fan and watching college football and the NFL. Just two guys that I thought would be good players in the NFL. So since we mentioned both on the show at the same time, shout out Zach Wilson. You showed up in front of the Swifties, but it might be over for you, and it might be over for the Jets because Aaron Rodgers not coming back this year, obviously. And I cashed my Jets under 9.5 wins, but I can't even celebrate that on Twitter because we're gonna have people saying, "Oh, the Aaron Rodgers is worth 7 wins." Yeah, I bet.
Oh, I don't. I can't even listen to him. That just make my brain hurt. So,
but yeah. But to your point, I do think the Bills Chiefs game will be the game of the week. This is two teams that are trending in the opposite directions. You have the Chiefs where people are finally starting to catch up to the fact that they're frauds, and I've been saying it since week one that this is the worst Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce roster. In that era, they've given them about as little help as humanly possible. And the Bills, on the other hand, they see some life not just with their play, hanging with the Eagles, but also you mentioned Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk getting hurt. I have futures on the Jaguars, and they're dead, right? Because Christian Kirk is done, and Trevor Lawrence is done for a while. So those futures are dead. The AFC has opened up a little bit, right? And the Ravens lost Mark Andrews. The Jaguars lost whatever relevancy they have rest of the season. It's over for them. Bengals were out a long time ago. The AFC is open. And if the Bills make it to the playoffs, this could be one of the great stories of recent memory in the AFC. So I'm looking forward to what that game has in store. I think that's going to be the game of the week and probably a game where we target pick'ems. And another game I want to mention, since we have been talking a lot of 49ers, the Seahawks 49ers spread is 10.5. Without even, I'm going to come out with my game line article tomorrow, and we'll see where I go with that. But that just off face value is a fat spread to me, and it tells me that the best way to approach that game is through pick'ems. I want to see the battle between DK Metcalf getting his potential revenge against Charvarius Ward and Brandon Ayuk, because the last time Brandon Ayuk's faced the Seahawks many times, but most of the times he didn't have a quarterback attached to him, right? And the last time they faced off, the 49ers dominated from the get-go. I think that Seattle's not going to win this game, but at least for the first half of the game, they're going to keep this competitive, and they might jump out to a lead just like they did against the Cowboys, because the Seattle roster is overall not bad, and they facing the team the second time is always a spot I want to target. And the 49ers are coming off the statement win of the season. To me, it wasn't really much of a statement because I know both of us agree that the 49ers are way better than the Eagles. But to a lot of people, it's a statement game. So I think, prediction, at least one of us is going to have picks for Sunday in that game in our bonus show on Friday.
Don't forget, Debo owns the Seahawks, owns them, and we won our pick 'em with him last time. That's just, certain matchups they own. Funny about that game. So that game opened at 12.5 when they released lines Monday night. It got down to 9.5. It's back to 10.5. It's too much. Like 12.5 is lunacy. Like that. I love my team. I love them. This is a second matchup, and Seattle's playing for a playoff spot for a wild card. We're playing for the first seed. I get it, but man, second time around, division rival. It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points to give up. I definitely wouldn't bet like I did the Niners this week. I had all these Eagles fans chirping me. I used one of PlayerProfiler's other partners bet openly. I gave out 7.5 and told you I gave everybody plus 7.5. I said, come take my money. And I should have done more. So that was fun. But yeah, that'll be an interesting spot. And then talking about that, the team that I think the AFC that could sneak in with their terrible defense is Miami now to the Super Bowl. Like Miami, if they could, if they just turn the gas on, might be able to get there. And then for me, the actual the game that matters the most this week in terms of playoff picture for a team is the Detroit Lions, right? The Bears have owned them. Can the Lions, they've been trending in the wrong direction. Can they turn it around? So that's they're going to have to use St. Brown. They're going to have to use Laporta. They need to bring their A game this week. But Chicago, historically, there's going to be some weather there. It looks like a bad field. Ask the Niners what happened when they showed up in Chicago with that bad field. So that'll be an interesting spot. So these games are much more fun to talk about than this atrocious monstrosity they have going for Thursday night.
But we will anyway, and we think we found some winners. There's not many options, but we're about to get into it. Shout out to Manuel, who's in the chat. Shout out to Anthony, who's always in the chat with us. We appreciate you for joining. We're about to get into this ugly monstrosity of a competition that they call NFL football. But before that, let's hear a word from the podfather.
All right, I want to take a moment today to talk to you about data analysis. The data analysis tool, we listen to the users. What do you want? What do you need? And we made it happen. We added popular reports like a fantasy scoring report, air yards report. And if you want to create a new report, but you don't necessarily want to look through every field, we have quick results. Hey, show me the most popular passing data. Show me the most popular rushing data, fantasy data. Done. And the thing just is much faster than it's ever been. And the report builder got a lot easier. I mean, check this out. We break it down into offense, defense. Show me just fantasy data elements. And then when you get results, hey, show me by draft year. Let's take a look at just certain players that played a certain number of snaps or a certain number of games last year. This is the tool that so many of you have been asking for, plus a bunch of dream features that Billy wanted and Cody wanted and I wanted and Dario wanted. So go to the fantasy tools section, click on data analysis, or go to playerprofiler.com/data-analysis.
We're back on the Player Profiler Pick 'em Power Hour, where we're about to do the impossible task of finding winners in this Week 14 Thursday night football game. It's the ugly games where, it feels like Vegas is going to be more sharp than us and the pick 'em board is going to be more sharp than us. But we proved time and again that we've won in ugly games before, and it's not going to be the first time we win. It's not going to be our last time we win an ugly game. We're going to do it again. Trevor, you mentioned right before the break that this total is around 30 in most spots and probably going to close even below that. The last time an NFL game before this week had a total set less than 31 was 2005, and there are two such games this week: Patriots Steelers on Thursday and Jags Browns on Sunday. And we're supposed to find some winners for Thursday night football. So, if you're watching the NBA in-season tournament on Thursday, that's cool. But if you have a second screen, sickos like us are going to have the football game on. Let's find some winners. And this is, like you mentioned, a 6.5 point spread, 6 spread in most spots. Mitchell Trubisky is a minus 300 money line favorite, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we stand in this game. So it's gonna be weird finding winners, but we're gonna do it anyway. Trevor, you're gonna start us off with something on the Steelers side. We also have breaking news that we have more projections out for both teams as of a few minutes ago. Shout out to Underdog for adding more options to the board. If you want to tell us, promo code Underworld upon entry. And let's dive into these picks. Trevor, start us off.
Wow, they finally got them. They've only had 2 New England players, and they still don't have. If you guys did see, we got Najee news right before it went. So, man, we're going with their boy. We're going with Mitch Trubisky. This line is too low for how they're going to have to use them. I think they might be forced to run forward now. So, that should be interesting. Can they move forward, without Najee? Because you've seen since they made the change at coordinator, they just keep using the second best running back on the team. Now, Kenny Pickett goes down, and, they've used Mitch quite a bit. I think he played 7 games last year. He had a big game versus Baltimore. Don't forget, he threw for 276 last year against Baltimore. So he has the opportunity to do that. He's played a few games this year, but they've just when they got Arizona, he was just, when he came in, they just ran the ball down Arizona's throat because they can't stop anybody from running the ball. And New England has an above average run defense, but their pass defense has been suspect this year. The stat that surprised me most when I was doing my digging for this is the Patriots are tied at 8.5 ADOT defensively. That's basically tied 4 through 8 in the league are tied basically right there at that 8.5 ADOT. And then you got teams like the Commanders who, give up a bazillion yards. So I love that they have that ADOT and that's there for them in this matchup. And especially now with Najee going down, this is a spot they're going to use Warren out of the backfield. They're going to target Deontay. And this line is moving. This is actually up to 183 at Caesars right now, and it's 181 at Underdog and a half. So we want to take the higher here for Mitch. In a game, we don't need him to score touchdowns, but there's going to be some offense. They're going to need to move the ball. Najee going questionable. This late in the week really says, hey, they're probably going to do it, and they'll. I think New England's going to stack the box anyways to force them to throw. They want Mitch to win. Deontay's healthy. Pickens, Mr. Separation himself. But most importantly, Freiermuth is back. I love Pat this week. I think he'll get some opportunity there. And I think this is the kind of dirty game that you could go with an A-Rob pick for if you're playing DFS style and you want to build a fiver, go use an ugly A-Rob line or something. Because he'll catch one pass for 50 yards in this game.
Yeah, I like the A-Rob connection with Trubisky narrative. These are words that I'm saying out loud that this offseason, if you had told me on the show, we'd be talking about, I like that A-Rob and Mitch Trubisky connection. This is where we stand, though. And we got a little bump down by a yard as well here with Mitchell Trubisky. It's now 180.5. I'm going to I'm gonna, before the projection moves again, let's talk the Patriots side real quick. And I'm free rolling this. I was prepared for all kinds of backups just in case projections moved or we saw new things show up. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm taking a guy that I took on the books last week. He disappointed me. I'm going right back to it. I'm taking Hunter Henry higher on receiving yards. And this is the one guy on the Patriots that I was hoping actually showed up on the board. We have it now. This is a perfect buy low spot. If you look at who Bailey Zappi has targeted this season when he has stepped into the game, it's a bunch of the slot and the tight ends. That's basically it. There were a few dump offs to Ramondre in that Germany game where he came in, sort of without a plan and just took his dump offs, and it was a close game. The Patriots actually had a shot at winning that one. But overall, you look at the most common targets this game, and I actually made a tweet about this. And if you're watching live on the show, you could follow along on the screen. And you look at who he's targeted, and this was before the Chargers game, right? I made this tweet before the Chargers game. DeMario Douglas, the clear leader in the pack there, some to Juju Smith-Schuster, and then it's just, a freewheel of guys. But if you also look at the data analysis plus tool that PlayerProfiler does have, and I filtered through, what role he's targeting, and he's targeting a lot of the slot. Hunter Henry is a tight end that plays a lot out of the slot. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are heavy favorites in this game, and it probably rightfully so, because I don't expect Bailey Zappi to sustain a full touchdown drive like ever, because he's not good. If you think Mac Jones is bad, Bailey Zappi's a lot worse. But in this game, I think Patriots will be playing from behind. So even though there's a little bit of wind, they will still have to pass the ball a little bit. Hunter Henry, when he gets a few targets, like 3 to 4 targets, he's clearing this usually because he's also top 5 in the NFL at the position in ADOT. So he's probably the best pass catcher on the Patriots. And actually, not probably.
Not
tomorrow
probably.
He definitely is.
No, not probably.
Is.
There's no probably.
Yeah, there's no problem. Tomorrow he definitely is. I guess the only argument would be with Demario Douglas, but Demario Douglas is out tomorrow. Ramondre also out. That's why you see Zeke Elliott lines. Devontae Parker questionable. Juju Smith-Schuster questionable. Patriots offensive line been bad all season long. Kendrick Bourne, another slot guy, also questionable. Someone has to catch the maybe 10 passes that Bailey Zappi actually completes. Give me Hunter Henry.
I love it. Side note, I know this. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 7th worst defense in the NFL versus tight ends out of the slot.
There you go.
So yep. So a little data to help Ahaan there out. When I saw the Henry up, I was like, okay, thank goodness, because we were looking at the two pickups and we were like, it was kind of like, do you want to go step on Legos barefoot, or do you want to have your pillows be hot when you go to sleep? Like, both were bad options.
Or option number 3, bet all your bankroll on Bryce Young. That's an interesting one.
Oh, there you go. Well, not all of us could be up 2,000 units in a week, so
that's fair. But that's going to be it, right? We're gonna lock in the two pieces. We found two picks that we think are going higher. Which, if you look at Twitter right now and you look at all the gambling cappers and you look at the pick 'em experts on Twitter, everybody's taking lowers and unders in this game because both teams suck. No one's going to connect on a pass. But this is where we pivot and pick the couple of guys that will actually do their job relative to the market, right? And the market. Too low on Mitchell Trubisky and too low on Hunter Henry. So that's going to be our 2-piece for half a unit. We lock it in. Tail us on Underdog Fantasy. And when, we are done with this game, when, after we hit this 2-piece, all our efforts are going to be focused on the Sunday slate. We already talked about, some games we're looking forward to. I predict, for game of the week, Bills Chiefs. We'll have at least one of us will probably have an opinion on that, if not a pick, and we'll have opinions on most games. And barring maybe Jags Browns, we'll probably have at least one pick 'em lean for every game this week because I actually love the Sunday slate. And if you want to see our early leans for that, make sure you head over to the Underdog Pick Generator on the DFS Dominator website, and make sure you stay tuned in the Discord when we drop our bonus entries. But for now, we'll see you on Friday for the bonus show after hopefully we find a 2-0 winner.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.